You can stand next to someone and see a completely different world, the same sky. But for one, it's dark and threatening. For another, it's majestic, like a revelation. One prays to the light. Another swears allegiance to the darkness. Some seek signs in dreams. Others shuffle tarot cards and listen to the breath of the deck. Someone walks in circles with a jobi in hand, whispering a question, waiting for a sign. And someone just goes to work, not believing in anything. And yet, it still works, because the entire world is a mirror of your belief, your code, your focus. You think reality is singular, but try arguing with someone who sees another one. You get angry when someone says you're wrong, that it's all nonsense. But from what point of view? From what depth? We're all seeking the truth, but we scream about it too loudly, as if someone is obligated to hear it, as if someone must agree. But truth doesn't need confirmation. Everyone has their own. And if your truth lies in a stone you brought from the shore and now carry in your pocket, it will work. If your truth is in the words of an old book, it will speak to you. If your truth is in prayer beads, amulets, and a captured sunset in the handprint on the glass, then that's where your portal will be. Truth isn't universal. It can't be passed on. It can't be copied. Each of us has our own. And the one who sees ghosts in the house isn't crazy. He's just tuned into a different frequency, on a different signal level. The world manifests itself where you believe. Focus is your artist. Only the believer will see. Only the feeler will hear. Only the open will enter. So why prove anything? Why argue? You'll never see what you don't allow in. Live your truth. But remember, it's not above others. It's just yours. You bought the same amulet. You said the same words. You followed every instruction. But nothing happened. Because the magic isn't in the words or the object. The magic is in belief. And belief isn't a thought. It's a root, a deep yes within you. It's not logic. It's not an attempt. It's knowing, without doubt, without the need for proof. Just, I know. Period. If you doubt, you switch off the light. Doubt is scissors. It cuts the flow before it reaches you. That's why some people get results from ordinary words. He says, I am safe, and the world responds. Another repeats a mantra 100 times, and nothing, because the first one feels it. And the second one is checking. You can't fool the universe. You can't say, I believe, if inside you're screaming, I'm scared. You can't activate magic with someone else's hands. Even if the amulet worked for them, for you, it's just an object. Until you charge it with yourself, your resonance, your intention, until it becomes an extension of you. Not a replacement for your power, but its form. That's why it doesn't work. Not because it's false, but because it's not your truth. Let me tell you a story. Not a tale, not fiction, but something I saw with my own eyes. Back in my youth, I worked as a real estate agent. A small agency, lots of plans, lots of hope. We had a colleague, a guy who wasn't stupid, but it was like everything inside him was asleep. He sat in the office for almost a year without selling a single apartment. The listings were good, the prices reasonable, but nothing worked for him. Others sold, he didn't. It was as if he repelled deals. Clients could feel it. He just wasn't the one. He started working side jobs, looked for other options. We thought he'd quit soon. Then one day, an older woman walked into the agency. Calm, composed. She came on business, it seemed. But her conversation with him dragged on, and clearly wasn't about apartments. No one saw what happened. But later, he told us, she wrote something down for him on a piece of paper, just handed it to him. He never showed it to anyone, never said a word about it. But he changed. From that day, something began. Something no one could explain. He started selling everything, not just good listings. He sold the impossible. Old, problematic, abandoned properties. Sold them for big money. If a client walked into the office, even if it was just casual curiosity, even if they were just browsing, if they sat in his chair, that was it. The deal was sealed. Not a single rejection, not one. He sold even to those who wandered through agencies for years without buying. They bought from him, always. We watched in disbelief. What was it? Hypnosis? Magic? Some upgraded charisma? No. He was the same guy. But something inside him had flipped. He was like a beacon switched on. It was as if he remembered who he was. They started showing him off at other offices. The director bragged about him. He became a legend in the agency. What happened? No one knew. He never mentioned the woman again. Never said a word about the note. Years have passed. I don't know where he is now. Life carried him away somewhere, but the story lives in me. Sometimes I wonder, what was on that piece of paper? What kind of words can rewrite a person's fate? But maybe that's not the point. What matters is what happened inside. Because I believe it wasn't the paper. It was the focus, the intention, the belief. And if you're switched on at the right moment, reality reshapes itself to fit you. You can spend years walking in circles, reading books, listening to advice, praying, procrastinating, doing everything right, and still nothing changes. And then suddenly, click. One look, one piece of paper, and it's like someone pressed the on button. Not because you were handed a magic formula, not because the universe finally took pity on you, but because you shifted your point of focus. It all starts not with results, but with internal permission. To be, to sell, to live, to move, to have. We often say, but I'm trying, I'm working hard, why isn't it working? But the outside is just a reflection. When you're not switched on inside, you don't radiate power. You're like a radio trying to catch a wave, but missing the signal. But when you switch on, the whole wave tunes to you. That guy didn't change anything. He didn't study marketing. He didn't develop charisma. He just switched. Something inside him started saying, I am worthy. I am capable. And everything around him started to follow. The world is not an external system. It's your projector. Your energy is the code. Your permission is the key. When you're internally aligned with yourself, nothing external can block you. You're not selling. You're attracting. You're not explaining. You simply are. And if you want something to change, don't go searching for the note with magic words. Find the moment inside you where you first stopped believing in yourself, and erase it, rewrite it, re-sign the contract with reality, with new words, with new focus. You don't have to be who they thought you were. You are not a reflection of the past. You are not someone else's opinion. You are the point of focus, and everything you hold your gaze on comes alive. Two people sit side by side. One worries, overthinks, sets goals, writes affirmations, and still remains stuck, while the other simply acts, calmly, confidently, and everything seems to align for him. It's not luck, it's permission. Because one gave himself permission to be in the flow, and the other is still asking the world for approval. Approval from a world that doesn't even know how it works, from a system designed only to restrict, from parents, society, from external voices. Ask yourself honestly, do you want it, or were you allowed to want it? Some people manifest everything because they don't argue with themselves. They don't destroy themselves with doubt. They don't postpone their power for later. They are switched on. Others remain switched off, both inside and out. They live, but it feels like life is on pause, always waiting for confirmation. That yes, they're worthy. Yes, they're allowed. Yes, they deserve it. But that confirmation never comes, because it has to come from within. The whole system responds to your signal, to your inner yes, not from external approval, but from the moment you finally believe yourself. You believed, and you began, not guessing how it would happen, not calculating each step, just turned on from within. That's why some people activate an amulet and others don't. Why some sell anything and others nothing. Why one person prays once and gets relief, while another surrounds themselves with icons and still feels lost. Because it's not the icon, it's the focus. Not the object, but the point of activation. Not the form, but the frequency. If you don't believe in yourself, no sacred stone from the sea will save you. But if you are activated, even a piece of paper becomes a portal. That's the secret. That's why some succeed, and others never will. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I truly appreciate everyone who listens, feels, and reflects with me. Wishing you a peaceful evening, a light heart, and a clear mind. May you be warm, strong, and deeply fulfilled. See you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye for now.